For the first part, based on the quote by Rodden Edmonds, I said that, like, I agree with a lot of the videos that I watch that standardized testing is not the best um, way, or that's one of the big obstacles that we face to successfully teach all children. Um, but by working with different teams and teachers, I feel like one big struggle we have is the individual beliefs of knowing that we feel like the best way, like I know the best way or the right way to teach all kids. Um, so it's that very isolated, um, the isolated ideas of how to teach or what to teach. So even if teachers are working in collaborative teams, we have a group of like 5 people who are on the same collaborative team, and they can absolutely agree about, like, these are the things that need to be taught. But they all have very different teaching philosophies. So even though they're still teaching the same material, they're also integrating their own beliefs about what knowledge and skills should be taught within the walls of their classroom. So some teachers focus just on, like, the students need to know these facts, and it's more about knowing, where other teachers focus on the learning, and other teachers focus on the, like, building social skills and collaborative skills. So it's almost like we need to, the biggest obstacle is, like, what is the mission of public education, and how do we monitor that to make sure that all teachers know and understand that vision. So I feel like that's a huge, I don't even know how to get that under control or how to answer that problem. So for part 2, I'm going to do this kind of differently than I've seen people do it. I want to talk about something I liked in chapter 4 and chapter 5, and then talk about my personal experience after. So in chapter 4, I always loved learning about the 6 facets of learning, because I know I'm super self-aware. I have very high self-knowledge, and I'm always aware, like, when I'm choosing to engage in something, when I choose to disengage, and I have moments where I just have to self-talk myself, like, Katie, you need to stop, you need to do this, you need to whatever. But I really, really struggle with empathy and differentiating between having empathy and being considerate, because I'm extremely considerate of other people's feelings, but the ability to detach myself from something that I believe or feel is very difficult for me, and it has been my entire life. So that's always been something very difficult for me. I'm continuously working on that. And then in chapter 5, for a personal experience with essential questions, I don't recall teachers ever posting or talking about essential questions while I was a student in school. I know that when I became a teacher, they were a requirement to have on our board. And teachers use them in various ways. Some of them were very basic, like, like how do I add and subtract fractions, which is super low level. It's like, well, let me give you an answer. And then some teachers would use them, like, what are ways in the real world we would use adding and subtracting fractions, or questions that make you think a little more. But reading about the 4 connotations of the word essential, that's what I'm trying to get to, in chapter 5, made me think about when I was a classroom teacher and how I used essential questions. The 3rd meaning in the book about the meaning of essential, by using students to help students effectively inquire and make sense of important but complicated ideas, knowledge, and know-how. That's always how I interpreted the word essential. So it was like, why do kids need to, that was always the question. Kids would say, well, like, why do I need to know this? When am I going to use this? And so it was always a matter of taking a complicated or a difficult concept and making sure that they could find the connection or know the connection to, so why does that matter today? Or why should that matter to me? So now going back to my personal experience, I recently had a really good moment where I was so caught up in learning. And it was just literally this past week as an adult. I had the opportunity to chaperone our AP Art History class to the Dallas Museum of Art. And the teacher let the students go and explore. They had a scavenger hunt to do. And so it was like I had my own personal tour guide to the museum. And she would take us to different paintings and sculptures and structures and immediately started asking us questions like, when you look at this, like, what do you notice about it? Or how does this make you feel? Or what do the colors make you think of? And at first it was a little intimidating because it was like, oh my gosh, like she's going to think I'm an idiot. Like I don't want to give the wrong answer. But there was nothing that we said that she was like, that's wrong. And maybe this is just art and it leads itself so much, to who is interpreting the piece of art. But she did such a great job of asking us those questions. And I was like, yes, like you are a great teacher. Like I wish I had you in class. I was so intrigued that when I came home, like I couldn't stop Googling Frederick Edwin Church and his paintings and these different kind of Nkisi and Kondo statues from the Congo. Like I never would have cared about that. But it was because she kept asking such great questions and she did a great job of connecting what I was seeing at the museum to what I know, in present day. And so that really made me think of I was so engaged, and me with connecting that to chapter 4 with the facet of learning that I am the strongest with, self-awareness, self-knowledge. Like she was providing me what I needed to keep going. And the questions that she was asking were so powerful and meaningful that I was just like, I need every student to have these opportunities. Because it was just, how many kids leave the classroom and go home and start Googling or, start asking questions. And I mean, I came home and I started quizzing my husband and asking how, pulled up the same painting online. I was like, how does this painting make you feel? What do the colors make you think of? And I hadn't had an experience like that in a long time. So that actually worked really well with the lesson for this today. That was really interesting to me.